In today's video, I'm creating two different pages with Arrtx Acrylic Markers and few really good, really cool techniques, plus honest product review if it comes to the markers. So please stay tuned. It's Asia Marquet here, Lemon Creation. Welcome to my channel. This video will consist of few chapters, few different parts. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of swatching, talking about the markers I got, and I'm gonna make two art journal pages, the landscape pages, so the long ones, and you have chapters in the description box below. If you wanna just skip some part, you can as well skip it. But I think it's a very interesting video, and I hope you're gonna stay with me. So first of all, I was offered the box of acrylic markers from Arrtx, and yes, I was contacted by them, and I was asked if I'm gonna do a video with the markers. And while I'm doing swatching right now, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about it. So I've seen people making it, I've seen on Arrtx Instagram page also, but I was thinking this is the thing completely not for me. I'm not gonna know how to use them, and I already have problems with acrylic paints, so I said to myself, acrylic markers are not gonna be something which I will be enjoying. And I was mistaken, guys, actually. And I'm not saying that because I was offered the box and I'm supposed to say that. I'm saying that because this is actually my sentiment after working with them. I'm not gonna tell you that I'm gonna be working with them now all the time. I prefer still, I think, sprays and things like that, which I kind of manage a little bit better. But maybe this is just a learning curve and I have to just spend more time working with them. What I can tell you about them, they are actually super pigmented. They are really nice and creamy, really creamy. I don't know if you can see how effortless it is to actually put them onto the page. They are opaque, they are very bright. I have my favorite ones, and believe me, one of my favorite ones is actually a brown one. I'm usually going towards violet and blues and green ones, but you know, yes, some of them are just really, they have something like almost two pigments inside, and I really love it. The set I got has 30 markers, and they are water-based, and they all have brush tip. Brush tip for me is quite hard to work with, but I still like it, I still enjoy. Later you're gonna see I did even some coloring with brush tips, so I'm really happy with myself. I'm trying to show you the brown one, which is kind of yellowish one, and then there was also a nice blue, that kind of dark blue. The greens are very nice, and as I said, they are super rich in colors. And the pink one here, super beautiful also, and that's gonna be the one I'm gonna be using in one of the projects today. Now I'm gonna do the swatches on the black paper, because I actually seen it in other video that you can use them on the black paper. I don't know why I didn't think about it. So I'm showing you here that they are having a brush tip, and look, guys, when I open it, it looks really nice. And what I love about these markers is the fact that earlier on, when I was starting doing scrapbooking, art journaling, etc., I had a white acrylic marker. You had to shake it. I hate that. I seriously hate that. You shake it, then you have to press the nib. Sometimes, you know, you get getting a big blob of color, and I just hate it. This one, you don't have to do it. And you have also metallic markers. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. You have silver and gold one, and those are the colors on the black paper. They are beautiful. I have watercolors, not from Arrtx, from some other company, which are like, you know, this like pearlescent. I think like they are shining a little bit on the black paper. This is nothing to compare with. This is really opaque, matte color. They actually remind me a little bit chalk acrylics from Paper Artsy almost, because they are not shiny at all. So for all of you who don't like shiny, well, apart from silver and gold, the markers are not shiny. And as you can see, I already mixed them up a little bit. They are not very well arranged in the boxes. They come in one box, but the box has 2 trays, so you can very easily take one tray out. And so let's start to work. I'm using a watercolor paper, but this is very cheap watercolor paper, and I'm gonna be doing 2 pages, one on the white paper and one on the black paper. And I'm gonna tell you honestly, while working, what's good about these markers, what's not so good. And I'm gonna be experimenting because I wanna see them, you know, I want to see them in action. I want to see how they work in different ways on different paper. So my first experiment is, are they easily transferable with the piece of acetate and a little bit of water, because normally markers, especially watercolor markers, they are very nice or if you just do this type of transfer. Of course, the other markers like alcohol markers, you can everybody knows that you can make very nice colors with them, very nice coloring. So I'm gonna do a little bit of coloring also, so like that you see different techniques and how do they work. For now, I'm really happy with the fact that they are actually transferring very well. So if I just scribble a little bit on the acetate paper, this is acetate paper, well, it's not really paper, it's a piece of acetate, and spray water, I can actually transfer it nicely to the paper. And in this case, I'm using 2 very bright colors. So you can see the colors are a little less brighter if I would just do like, you know, draw with them, but that's what I want. I actually checked those 2 colors already because I really love the pink one, the first one, the kind of very light pink one. And so I put it a little bit on the scrap paper to see how it works with water, exactly the same technique. And I decided that yes, I'm gonna do a page with like kind of light markers, because the not the black one, the bright markers you can actually see very well. So let's see how the not so bright are doing. For now, I'm really happy. They really have this chalk effect. I'm not sure if you can see, you probably cannot see, maybe in the photos, but they really do have beautiful chalk effects. So I'm gonna dry it. Of course, I'm too impatient. And later I'm gonna add a little bit of, well, different things to the page. Before that happens, I still want to add a little bit of this pink. The markers don't really have numbers. I mean, there is a small piece of paper with the numbers, with kind of numbers and sticker numbers, but I really don't actually know where to put them, and I Google it, well, I YouTube it to see if, you know, in the YouTube tutorials, I have somebody can give me an idea where to put these small numbers. And I didn't find anything, so I'm not sure, but theoretically they do have numbers. The only thing is that they don't have numbers on the markers itself. So I'm thinking if one day Arrtx is gonna decide to make a little bit of colors, and if they listen, please make not the purple, the plum color. I miss so much plum color. Nobody makes it. I would like so much that there would be more plum color. Not the purple, actually, the plum one. So if they make one day a little bit more of colors, I think they should actually put the numbers on the markers. They would be more visible like that, but maybe I'm missing something, and you know, they're gonna leave me a comment saying, well, you missed that part. But I honestly didn't see the numbers on the markers, so it's very hard like that to tell you which colors I'm using. I'm using very bright pink and bright orange, kind of almost coming into a coral color, but not really. And because I absolutely love this bright pink, it's really beautiful, I'm adding a little bit more on top of the orange one. And I also want to see how do they react. They are watercolor based, but they don't really react too much after drying one with the other. So once dry, I think they stay well on the paper, and they do not react even, or at least not that much, even though they are water based. The only thing is, if you use a piece of acetate, please spray it with water quite quickly and make a transfer quite quickly, because otherwise they're gonna dry out, because they are actually, well, acrylic markers. so that's their right. And if you want to clean your acetate or your stamp or wherever you used the acrylic markers on, you can either use water, but the best way is to use just hand sanitizer, and it's gonna just come out super easily, no problem at all. So here we go. I was a little afraid to use the acrylic markers on the stamps. So I started slowly by using, you know, the old packaging. I keep them and I use them, well, maybe not very often, but from time to time I use them for my projects. They give me a nice texture. I usually stamp them with archival ink, but this time I'm doing stamping with acrylic markers. So here we go. I get actually very nice impression, and believe me, this is the impression I'm getting also with archival ink, because the packaging is very small and it gives the same sort of impression. But I just wanted to show you that it does stamp, so you can use it if you just, you know, draw on the stamp or a piece of packaging and just put it straight on the paper before the acrylic dries. You can do it, it's gonna work really well. So that's what I was doing. I used different pieces of packaging, and yes, in the nooks and crannies it's hard to get rid of it, but I don't mind that much. It can come off a little bit with water, but as I said, the hand sanitizer is the thing to go. And I use also different type of packaging. This is kind of a circle which I cut, I have no idea from what, cookies probably, and it gives me very nice circular shape when I stamp it. And right now I'm actually using a black acrylic marker. It's still the same acrylic marker, but it's black. I just wanted for you also to see a little bit clearer how it works, and I wanted to have a little bit of contrast also on my page, because it cannot be too bright also. It's gonna be very hard to make something really nice. There should be a tiny bit of contrast, and also it's much more difficult to take photos. And as you can see, I could add it to the background, I could make a stamping with it, so they are quite good that way, that you can actually do a few things with it. I'm not sure how long they're gonna last. As far as I know, they don't have some kind of like replacement nibs for now anyway. I would like them to also have some kind of numbers on them, so they are easily recognizable, that I can tell you I'm using now number, I don't know which one, or at least nice names, but that may come with time. And I am not very at ease with the brush tip, but I know a lot of you are. And anyway, even for the person like me who is not maybe so much at ease with brush nib, you won't do too much, I think, coloring with this type of markers. Well, you may, because I've seen already tutorials when the artists were doing amazing coloring, amazing like blending. But that's just my opinion. I'm not a big fan of brush, because I don't find I have too much control over. But for pages like that, they are perfect. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I didn't need to have a, like, you know, I'd rather have a brush nib than a chisel one. So I managed to make some kind of circles, dots rather. And I think those three colors are going really well together. This may be my new favorite color combo, orange, pink and gold. But I wanted to add a little bit of contrast. Still again, I'm still using a tiny bit of packaging and the black acrylic marker to add a little bit of lines. Some of them were done off the camera, so I apologize for that. And let me start now with coloring with the focal points. I've seen on YouTube that you can actually color really nicely with these markers from Arrtx, and you can make a nice blend. I've never actually seen a tutorial like I'm doing right now with, you know, making a background the way I did and making some stamping with these markers. But the coloring tutorials, yes, you can find them. And I'm not sure if my paper is the good one, because I didn't I tried on the side of the paper to make a little bit of blending, but I didn't achieve it as well as the other artists did in other videos. But that could be just me, you know, I may need a little bit more time with it. But I decided to still color these flowers. They are flowers from a stamp by Paper Rose, and I put them on the piece of it's mixed media paper, but it's very thin paper and it's very cheap and it's not very good. Don't buy it then. And but I'm using it as a scrap paper, and as you can see, the the kind of green line, I was trying to make a blending with this line with two greens. I don't think it really worked that well, but afterwards, after actually coloring the flowers, I'm gonna, I think, leave this part without voiceover, speed it up a little bit because it's quite long. I was working for the very first time, doing coloring for the very first time, so I was a little lost. I didn't know how to do it, and still I think I managed not that bad. At the end, you have to be careful if you use dark colors to not actually color on the lines, because the lines will disappear since it's a permanent, since it is acrylic marker. So just pay attention to that. Otherwise, just try to mix them, blend them together as well as possible. And it is really possible. And you're gonna see at the end, the effect is really, really nice. So I'm gonna let you hear quiet with the music in the background, and I try to do it with different views and different angles, so you can see it the best this way, I hope. So here are the finished flowers. Not a perfect blending, but close. I think I'm not a very good blender type of person, so I'm still happy with the effect. Can you believe I'm doing still dots? I mean, the only thing I think I cannot do with these markers is the splatter. I haven't tried actually, but I don't think it's possible. So I'm doing my small cluster of dots. Once again with black marker, because I want to have this contrast on the page. And now I'm just gonna adhere the beautiful flowers. Before I adhere them, I kind of bend them in my fingers to give them a little bit dimensions, like, you know, kind of 3D feel. And I'm gonna just glue it with the tacky glue and add some words to them. And that would be the end of this page, but then stay tuned, there is another black page coming. Okay, there's no grunge on my page. I love those, sometimes doing pages like that, you know, just sweet, nice pages. And this color combo, the flowers, the gold accents, all the stamping I've done, and the method of application of the color to the background, I think it came all together so nicely, so elegant. And yes, this is my favorite page out of those two. But the second one, it may be your cup of coffee or tea or whatever you prefer, so stay tuned. And for this page, the choice was quite easy. I wanted to go with the blues I love, and I chose turquoise also. I didn't want to choose the colors which are very light, very bright, because I think on the black paper, no matter if it's acrylic markers or watercolors or whatever, they just don't give the color justice. The black paper just takes too much of the color, like absorbs too much of it. So I prefer to actually work with bright colors on the black paper. So the method of application is the same. I'm using a piece of acetate and water, just because no matter the markers, if it's a watercolor marker or alcohol marker, I just don't put it straight on the page. I prefer this type of application because I think it just gives me the more irregular, nice pattern for the background. So it's just, you know, the choice was easy here. I could have made lines or kind of circular shapes or whatever, but this is not my type of art and I prefer to do it like that. So that's why I'm really happy that these markers work this way. As you can see, when I'm taking out the piece of acetate, it's the markers, the parts of the markers are already dry on the acetate. But still the transfer is really nice. Once again, I'm not sure if you can see, it's a really nice chalky color, and if you manage to move your acetate a little bit while applying it to the paper, you may also get this small kind of like a very funky lines. I don't know how to explain it, but they are really nice, and they are also visible on the bottom of the page a little bit. So I'm just applying and applying and applying, you know, a little bit of water, a little bit of paint. Oh, you see the lines right now here, I made them. And I'm applying quite a lot of color because, first of all, I'm not very comfortable with working on the black paper still. So I am always a little bit lost, but I wanted to add the most color possible. And the chalkiness on the black paper is just really beautiful. So right now I'm adding a little bit of turquoise, and I'm using the same acetate paper. It just in the meantime I clean it with the hand sanitizer, so it's super perfectly clean. And yes, I'm adding the same, once again the same application. And if you want to mix the colors a little bit on the paper, you don't have to dry it straight away like I did, because I dried the blue part. You can just, you know, add one after the other quite quickly. So in the spaces when there is still some water on the page, they will mix a little bit. And I add a little bit of this kind of lime green or kind of yellow green color also to add a little bit of different color. And now look at the waves. I love it. It's like it's almost like in a galaxy, you know, this how do you call it? I forgot the word. I think I mean nebulas. But they are really so nice. And now I am doing the same. I'm using again the packaging, the piece of packaging, and the white marker this time because I'm working on the black paper. So obviously I need to add some contrast. And I'm doodling a little bit of like funky lines on the page to get a little bit more of this white, you know, to get my favorite thing ever, contrast. And guys, I decided to actually use my nude stamps in the background and try to add the stamping with acrylic marker. And I said I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna see if they are not gonna get to waste. But actually, these markers are better than acrylic paints. They are not like getting so much into nooks and crannies of the stamp. But in the case of this particular stamp, I think it's way too dense for the marker to pick it up really, because I did it with the on the page with the black on the side page with the black archival ink, and it printed really well. But with the white marker here, it does not really print that much or that well, or you know, it's in the busy background, it's almost invisible. So I decided to actually use a proper ink to do it. And as you're gonna see at the back of my stamp, the acrylic marker came out without any problems. I don't have white traces almost on the stamp, and it didn't damage the stamp. So I think for stamps which are better defined, which are not really a background stamp, but maybe like a shaped stamp or I don't know, a circle stamp, you can use without any problems acrylic markers. But for this one, no, it was not a good idea. And so that's why I'm using the Moonlight white, I think it's called. Once again, you're gonna get a full list of products used in the description box below. You're gonna also get links for the Arrtx markers. And the last thing I think I'm using the markers for on this page is just to frame it a little bit better with the white marker. Maybe the white marker, in my opinion, is a little bit translucent, I'd say. It's not as opaque as I would wish it was, but it's really a tiny detail. But I'm telling you honestly, if you're looking for something, you know, very opaque, this marker, this particular white, is not as opaque as I would like. I would like really, really nice striking white. And of course here came a problem to choose my focal point. I was wondering and finally I settled for something like that. A small bag which comes from the book Winged and Company, which I designed, so there are small elements to fuzzy cut. And that would be it for this movie. So you're gonna see two pages completely different, and as you can see, with acrylic markers, with Arrtx, anyway, because that's the only one I have ever used, you can create pages on the black paper and on the white paper. And honestly, they are good markers, really. For the price you pay and for the quality you get, they are really nice to work. If you like acrylic markers, go for it. I really enjoyed it. It's a small adventure for me. I'm sending you guys big kisses and hugs, and I hope I'm gonna see you in the next video. Please subscribe if you haven't done so, and check link to my shop. Check all the links to Arrtx in the description box below, and see you soon. Bye bye.